The creation of the Chevrolet Company can be considered one of the most adventurous ventures of the early 20th century. Oddly enough, the company's name wasn't inspired by its founder. Louis Joseph Chevrolet, a renowned race car driver at the time, simply happened to be in the right place at the right time. The brand's creation is the work of an enterprising American industrialist, William Crapo Durant. It's hard to imagine, but the founder of General Motors and Chevrolet initially considered automobiles noisy and dangerous. That is, until he drove a Buick in 1904, after which he successfully purchased the brand. By 1908, Buicks were in high demand. William Durant then decided to found General Motors, which would later become one of the largest auto companies in the world. The following year, 1909, proved fateful for Chevrolet. Durant invited Louis Chevrolet to become a Buick racing driver. But by 1911, GM was suffering significant losses, and Durant was removed from his position as CEO. Without further ado, the businessman offered Chevrolet the opportunity to develop a new car based on designs developed by General Motors specialists. Leaving racing behind, Louis set to work and soon completed the development of a new six-cylinder engine. When it came time to choose a name for the future automobile brand, Durant had no doubt. The name of the renowned racer, who had become chief engineer, was a perfect fit for the new brand. Thus, on November 3, 1911, the soon-to-be popular Chevrolet brand was born. Also in 1911, the brand's first model, the Chevrolet Classic 6, was released. It was a classic 5-seat, 4-door car. It featured a windshield, a convertible top, and electric lighting. A 40-horsepower six-cylinder engine propelled the 1,590 kilograms car to a top speed of 105 kilometers per hour. However, the high price of $2,150 discouraged buyers. At the time, the market leader was the simpler Ford T, priced at around $850. At the same time, the Little 4, equipped with a 4-cylinder engine, was introduced. However, it was also expensive and did not enjoy the expected success in the United States. The problem was that Durant and Chevrolet had radically different visions of what a Chevrolet car should be. William Durant wanted to produce budget models capable of competing with Ford's bestsellers. Louis, meanwhile, dreamed of producing luxurious cars similar to Cadillac. 2 years after the brand's founding, taking advantage of Chevrolet's long absence from America, Durant began working to reduce the cost of his cars, tasking his engineers with doing so. Returning from a European vacation, Louis was clearly not pleased with this turn of events. The proud racer couldn't stand the fact that his illustrious name was being put not on the luxurious cars he had designed himself, but on cheap ones he had nothing to do with. Durant himself added fuel to the fire, repeatedly criticizing Chevrolet for his inappropriate behavior in public. Finally, the emotional Swiss couldn't take it anymore. "I sold you my car, I sold you my name, but I never sold myself to you, and I never will." Thus, after only 2 years at the company to which Louis had given his name, he resigned as chief engineer and sold all his shares. As it turned out, it was in vain. In the future, Chevrolet never fully realized his talents and would spend the rest of his life in poverty. After Chevrolet left his position as chief engineer, 2 relatively affordable models began rolling off the assembly line: the convertible Baby Grand and the sporty Royal Mail. These models were the first to use the famous Chevrolet emblem. There are several legends about its origin. According to the most widespread version, William Durant saw the famous Chevrolet symbol in 1908 while traveling in France, on the wallpaper of a Parisian hotel. Durant tore off a piece of the wallpaper to show his colleagues. In 1915, the Chevrolet 490 was based on the Baby Grand and Royal Mail. The car combined 2 of the most important qualities of the time: reliability and affordability. The 490 designation denoted the model's price, $490, which brought the company particular popularity. Finally, Chevrolet would be able to displace the Ford T. The trim level was extremely simplified, although headlights and an electric starter were already standard. Sales were very successful. The model, produced until 1922, sold more than 100,000 copies. These budget-friendly cars brought Chevrolet genuine fame and William Durant a tidy profit. This helped him carry out his cunning plan. Durant acquired a controlling stake in General Motors and once again assumed the chairman's chair. From then on, Chevrolet became part of the group, and cars with the X on the grille became the corporation's core products. Even before Chevrolet completely merged with GM, the Little 6 and several H-Series cars were introduced. But having achieved his goal and regained his leadership position, Durant finally lost interest in the automobile business and became engrossed in Wall Street. Thus, in 1920, the board of directors, for the second time and this time for the last time, removed him from his position as manager and bought out his shares. The following year, he managed to found his own automobile company, Durant Motors. After 10 years of limited success, the company closed, and in 1936, during the Great Depression, William Durant went bankrupt. Regardless, Durant and his colleagues contributed significantly to the development of the Chevrolet brand, the GM Corporation, and the automotive industry as a whole. In 1923, the Chevrolet 490 was used as the basis for the Superior model, which was produced until 1927. The car proved to be a huge success, selling over 480,000 units in its first year. In 1927, the company finally overtook its main competitor, Ford, in sales. By that point, the company had sold over 1 million vehicles and remained the top seller in the United States for the next 55 years. In 1935, with the introduction of the 8-passenger suburban carryall, Chevrolet created a new class of utility vehicle. The model featured a spacious all-metal body with 2 front doors and 1 cargo door. With the outbreak of World War II, Chevrolet shifted its focus to military production. Initially, its factories began producing shells and anti-aircraft guns, as well as Pratt & Whitney engines for bombers. Civilian vehicle production ceased completely in 1942, and new models would not appear for 4 years. William S. Knudsen, CEO of Chevrolet, was appointed chairman of the National Defense Department. Starting in the second half of the 20th century, a true design revolution began in America. In addition to dramatic changes in exterior design, Americans developed a penchant for megalomania. Cars grew larger and engines more powerful with each passing year. It all began with the introduction of the Chevrolet Bel Air hardtop in 1950, which surprised everyone with its extravagant design. The car was named after a prestigious Los Angeles neighborhood. 1953 was a landmark year for the release of the legendary Chevrolet Corvette, America's first mass-produced sports car. Designed by Harley Earl, the lightweight 2-seater was produced with fiberglass coupe and convertible bodies. Initially, the base model featured a Buick 6-cylinder engine boosted to 152 horsepower and a 2-speed automatic transmission. In 1961, Corvettes could produce up to 315 horsepower and could accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in an impressive 5.5 seconds. In 1955, a new Suburban appeared, more closely resembling traditional Chevrolet passenger cars. Station wagons were available with both rear-wheel and four-wheel drive, giving the vehicle enviable off-road capabilities. 3- and 4-speed manual transmissions, as well as 4-speed automatics, were available. In 1959, in response to the successful sales of the Ford Ranchero, the first El Camino pickup truck was introduced, built on the Chevrolet Brookwood station wagon platform. These utility vehicles featured striking styling and powerful engines, 4.6 and 5.7 liters. In 1960, the model's appearance became more reminiscent of the Bel Air. In 1960, the first mass-produced car with independent suspension on all 4 wheels appeared, the Chevrolet Corvair, marketed as a budget sports car. Another distinctive feature of this car was its rear engine layout. The model was not in high demand, but nevertheless remained on the market for almost 10 years. In 1966, the legendary Chevrolet Camaro was released. It immediately captured the hearts of buyers from its first years of production. Chevrolet approached the creation of a rival to the Ford Mustang with extreme seriousness. From the very beginning, the Camaro was available in 2 body styles, coupe and convertible, with 4 different engine types and boasted nearly 80 factory options. At the time, the most powerful standard Camaro engine was a 5.7-liter V8 producing 255 horsepower. The total number of available engines soon reached 12 units. Later, more powerful models were introduced, the ZL1 for example, boasted a 430 horsepower engine. In 1969, the all-wheel drive Blazer was introduced. This SUV was developed to compete with the International Harvester Scout and Ford Bronco. The Blazer quickly became popular. This vehicle successfully combined outstanding off-road capability with comfort. Automatic transmissions and air conditioning were available. The Chevrolet K-Series Blazer, built on a full-size pickup truck chassis, was smaller and more maneuverable than the Suburban, but still retained a fairly roomy interior. In 1971, the next generation of the Chevrolet Impala was introduced. This series body style was the largest in the model's history. However, 2 years after the launch of the new Impala, in 1973, a gasoline crisis struck the United States. Fuel prices nearly doubled, and a maximum fuel quota was even introduced. The number of cars on the country's roads dropped significantly. Demand for such large vehicles in these conditions quickly declined. In addition to fuel-guzzling engines, these vehicles suffered from poor build quality. In 1977, the full-size Caprice was redesigned and remained in production without significant changes until 1990. Beloved by Americans, the car won the Car of the Year award in the United States. The Caprice was a very popular car, and in its top-of-the-line trim levels, it was sometimes even more attractive than a Cadillac. In 1978, the Chevelle, then a best-selling model, was officially renamed the Malibu. The new platform was shorter, shedding 500 to 1,000 pounds compared to previous versions, while the trunk became larger and the interior roomier. Similar changes were made to virtually all American full-size cars during those years, including the downsized Impala, which debuted in 1977. The Malibu and Impala were primarily popular with taxi companies and police forces. The downsizing and the introduction of more efficient engines reduced fuel consumption. This partially helped restore consumer confidence, and sales began to rise again. In 1980, the American automaker released its first front-wheel drive model, the subcompact Citation. Anticipating strong demand for small cars, GM switched from V8 engines to more fuel-efficient V6 and 4-cylinder engines. The fourth generation of Chevrolet C/K pickup trucks was produced from 1988 to 2000. Buyers were offered 8 different body styles. This generation differed from the previous one by the use of independent front suspension. The full-size Blazer also lost its rigid front axle. In 1992, it was updated and produced in this form until 1994. These SUVs had a longer wheelbase, but lost the removable top. The model was equipped with 2 8-cylinder engines, a 5.7-liter gasoline engine, 200 horsepower, and a 6.5-liter Detroit diesel, 180 horsepower. In 1995, the Blazer was renamed the Chevy Tahoe. That same year, the Blazer name became exclusive to the Junior Blazer S/K. The SUV was produced in 2- and 4-seater versions. The Blazer grew in size, and the interior became noticeably more spacious. The model was available only with a 4.3L V6 engine, 193 horsepower, and was equipped with either a 4-speed automatic or 5-speed manual transmission. In 1997, a redesign was carried out, significantly refreshing the car's appearance. In 1991, the Chevrolet Caprice replaced the aging third-generation model, which had been in production without major changes since 1977. The new Caprice was completely redesigned, with improved aerodynamics. The base model was equipped with a 4.3-liter V8, producing 200 horsepower. The most powerful Caprice was the 9C1, with an LT1 engine, 5.7-liter V8, producing 260 horsepower. While not well received by critics and sales were low, it became one of the fastest and most popular police cars. Since the early 2000s, the global financial crisis has had a significant impact on Chevrolet, as the company has begun to experience difficulties. The challenges of the crisis have compounded the problems of the American auto industry as a whole. Trends in the automotive industry were constantly changing, while American automakers remained overly conservative, slowly adapting to customer needs. Gone are the days when virtually every Chevrolet became a legend, and the popularity of American cars has declined year after year. This is precisely why, over the past decade, the the products of the progressive Japanese auto industry have been popular in America. To address this situation, Chevrolet decided to market its vehicles in the budget segment. After months of negotiations, in the fall of 2002, General Motors acquired the majority of the assets of Daewoo Motors, which was on the brink of bankruptcy. GM and its partners formed a new company called GM Daewoo Auto and Technology, GMDAT. Almost all of the Korean company's vehicles are now produced under the Chevrolet DAT brand. The best-selling Chevrolet model in the current lineup is the Cruze, which has become the best-selling Chevrolet model worldwide since its launch in 2009. Other models are also in demand, including the Spark, the completely redesigned Aveo/Sonic, and the Orlando minivan. However, Chevrolet continues to try to revive legendary models of the past. In 2002, due to steadily declining demand, the third-generation Camaro was discontinued. However, at the 2003 Geneva Motor Show, the new Chevrolet SS Coupe was unveiled, positioned as the successor to the famous Camaro. Production of the fifth generation began on March 16, 2009. To revive lost interest in the legendary model, a massive advertising campaign was conducted. The LS and LT trims are equipped with a 3.6 LV6 engine producing 304 horsepower. The SS version with a manual transmission is equipped with a 6.2-liter V8 producing 426 horsepower. The SS model features an automatic transmission and a 400 horsepower V8. Today, the Impala, Malibu, and Corvette models have been revived. The Corvette C6, in coupe and convertible body styles, was unveiled at the Detroit Auto Show in January 2004. Built on the updated C5 platform, with the same suspension and rear-mounted transmission, the Corvette received a new 6.2-liter engine producing 437 horsepower and 585 Nm of torque. The hot Corvette Z06 boasts a 505 horsepower 7.0-liter LS7 engine. Classic SUVs also remain on sale. The Silverado is the best-selling model in the Chevrolet pickup lineup, which also includes the mid-size Avalanche and the compact Colorado. The company made the right decision at the time by focusing on promoting its brand abroad, in countries where the automotive market was actively developing. And although production has declined significantly, Chevrolet remains one of the leaders in the global automotive industry.